Welcome, friends and deported 2-year-olds, to another banger of an episode of the Info Hazard Podcast Show. I'm your host, David. I'm here with my co-host, Dan and Phil.
Hello.
Good morrow.
Did you say good morrow?
Yeah, I got a little medieval with it.
All right.
Getting us started.
All right, very
That's
cool.
kind of the attitude I'm going for today.
Okay, excellent. Danny, you want to kick us off? What's the big news?
I thought actually I could get a little something going here before we get started. As you might have heard on the news, the Pope died, and you know what that means. Time for a conclave. So I couldn't get this out of my head all week, and I'm subjecting you and I guess our wives and mothers to this. So here we go. And I didn't really have time to edit, so bear with me. See, live feed of me fucking up my recording.
We call this conclave. We call this conclave to pick the Pope. We call this conclave. We call this conclave to pick the Pope. Conclave. Big times.
Oh my gosh, the stage presence.
Unbelievable, dude. I love your absolute deadpan expression whenever you're not singing, dude. It's unbelievable.
I look like a complete psychopath.
That was great.
Hopefully, dear listeners, you aren't getting the video feed of this, but check us out on youtube.com and you can see my complete lack of emotion as I deliver that song.
We got to get you in touch with Weird Al, co-write his next album.
Oh yeah, no, I mean that's the conclave I'm interested in. Like the next Weird Al, it seems to be only room for one parody song guy in the media, and Al's been going a long time. Maybe it's time for some fresh blood.
Hey, a call for blood.
Weird Al's blood too, you know.
Do you guys happen to follow the Pope horse race? You guys have any favorite cardinals?
It doesn't have to be a cardinal, by the way. It could be anybody.
Has it ever been not a cardinal, though?
Yeah, back in the 900s, a pigeon landed on a random guy in the crowd and they picked him to be Pope. He wasn't even a priest or anything.
I mean, I've been kind of in favor of just picking president at random, because I feel like that would probably work better.
It's kind of like the same principle we use for stock picking. Like there's that goldfish that outperforms traders by just swimming to random parts of the bowl.
Cool. Fun fact, Dan. Thanks. Okay.
Yeah. Does anyone know about the actual cardinals though? I am interested in that.
I feel like there's a bunch of non-white people in the race that might be picked, which is upsetting some people.
Well, since none of us know anything about it, I saw this on Polymarket. I was going to talk about Polymarket. There's a betting market on who's going to be the next pope, and the current leader on Polymarket is Pietro Parolin at 29%.
Italians are almost always the favorites, dude. When they picked John Paul, he was the first non-Italian pope in 400 years.
I imagine the last couple of popes to be picked were in the age of modern, television and radio broadcasts. So a global audience is more connected with the race for pope. That the Italian bias might not be as strong.
Can we get an American pope? Like, would that be
We
so
need an
bad?
American Pope.
Do we need an American Pope? Yes, we do. I mean, Trump promised to make America great again, right?
Plus, J.D. Vance possibly killed the last pope.
Yeah. Right, because he met with him like the day before he died, right?
We don't need an American Pope. We have the Book of Mormon. We have our own Jesus.
But what do we think about Francis? Francis seemed like about as left leaning as a pope is likely to get.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, seemed good.
Liberation theologist.
A what?
You know, liberation theology. That's like the movement in particularly Latin American Catholic churches. They describe themselves as an alternative for the poor. They use the resources of the church to benefit the downtrodden and speak out against the abuses of power of the rich and powerful.
What a concept.
They're rad.
All right. Well, yeah. I hope I guess these guys have a lot of influence and potential to do good in the world or bad. So happy picking. So Danny, the big
Yeah.
news. Take it away.
All right. So there's a lot of tyrannical shit happening.
Oh damn.
Yeah. It's not good news.
Damn it, Danny.
So all over the place, immigrations and customs enforcement is arresting people. A lot of them are just wearing like plain clothes. They have no badges or anything. There's several incidents where they are arresting people at courthouses. We'll get to the more famous one, but there's a less famous one that happened in Virginia, where they arrested 2 people at a Virginia courthouse, and they got into kind of a spat with the district attorney there. And so I just thought this quote was incredible here. Quote, "It is shameful," wrote an ICE spokesman who declined to be named in a Saturday morning statement, "that the Commonwealth Attorney, a sworn officer of the court and fellow law enforcement officer, has decided to prioritize politics over public safety, placing a criminal's well-being above that of the brave women and men in law enforcement, whom the Commonwealth Attorney took an oath to support." So, like, first of all, the spokesman declined to be named. Like, isn't that his whole job, to, like, talk to the media? And,
Right. Like, how many Virginia ICE spokesmen are there?
and like, if you're being declined to be named, maybe that's like a sign that you're like ashamed of the shit that you're doing and you shouldn't be doing it.
Maybe they're being threatened.
Yeah, but then like that's a
I
crime,
mean, they're
and
probably
like,
worried about being threatened because they're doing a bunch of horrible shit.
It's a little secret, a secret police kind of thing. Is this plain clothes? Sorry to derail if you have a bunch more stuff you're about to get into. This whole thing with like being plain clothes and not having badges or like
covering their faces.
right. Like are they reading people their Miranda rights? Are they
Good question.
how unusual is it? Like it's definitely like scary to watch. How would this feel any different from being kidnapped if you were just like on the streets? Like at least if it's like police, like with a nice shiny car and the badges and uniforms and stuff, you're like, oh okay, I'm being arrested. As opposed to like if you just see a bunch of like strange men in masks grab you on the street, like what's to stop you from just kicking them in the balls to trying to run away?
Well, it's I mean, nothing. I don't know. I feel like I'm taking crazy pills. Like, don't you have to identify yourself as a police officer when you arrest someone? Like, you can go undercover and not have any sort of identification that you're a police officer, right? But like, the jig is up when you arrest someone. At that point, you should have to, display your ID badge or something. Make some indication that you're not just a stranger kidnapping a person.
So ICE's defense for this is that they've presented credentials and warrants to the bailiffs at the courthouse, and so therefore it's like totally chill what they're doing. But there have been several cases of people impersonating ICE agents in order to do like really messed up shit. Like at least 2 cases where somebody impersonated an ICE agent in order to like rape somebody. One where a woman impersonated an ICE agent to do a false arrest on her ex-boyfriend's new wife, who only realized that this wasn't legit when she took her to her apartment instead of the sheriff's office.
That's
So,
messy
like,
as hell.
Yeah,
This
this
is
is
a
like
little bit funny. It's like a little bit funny, right?
That's good. Well, I mean, at least something positive came out of all of this.
Yeah, good.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
so also they arrested a judge because she disagreed with their method of arresting people at the courthouse and charged her with 2 counts of obstruction of justice. I mean, they came to arrest somebody who was in her court, and she said that they didn't have the proper type of warrant and basically like warned the guy so he could get away. And so they said that was obstruction of justice and they arrested her and booked her.
Right, but it wasn't because she. I mean, the way you said it at first was like that she disagreed with them. Like
Well-
they arrested her for warning the guy to get
All right,
away.
for the actions she took when she disagreed.
Right. Yeah, I think it's kind of an interesting. That one's an interesting case. I wish all this stuff would move faster. You know, it's like by this stuff.
Oh, no way.
Yeah,
What are you talking
by
about?
this stuff, I mean the court, the legal side.
I
of
wish
it.
the Gestapo was more efficient. What are you fucking
Not that
saying?
stuff. The other stuff. Not that stuff.
I think he's talking about like, the decisions of whether or not this is legal.
Right.
Right, because it's like they just sort of like will keep doing it over and over while the decisions are pending and normalize it and all that and cover up the evidence or whatever.
Yeah. Flooding
That-
the
that's
zone,
bad.
you could say.
Yeah, because it's sort of frustrating. Like a couple of these cases, it's like, yeah, is there any case here at all? Like, if there's not, then like get this shit over with. Like, let them
That's
out.
that's what Trump is saying is, we don't need to have a trial because it would take literally 200 years to have trials for everybody, so we just can't do it.
Right, because everybody has like a legal team of like hundreds, millions of dollars of legal budget to just indefinitely extend all proceedings against them for everything, and appeal and countersue every single thing.
Yeah.
And
no one's
so-
wealthier than people entering the country illegally. Like, these are people with lots of options and huge budgets.
Yeah, usually, and fancy legal teams.
And so also this week, the Department of Justice issued a memo saying under the Alien Enemies Act, they can enter people's homes without a warrant in order to search for migrants, which notably,
anyone?
the Alien Enemies Act says we're supposed to be at war with the foreign government in order for that to be used, but I guess that doesn't matter anymore, at least until they get a court ruling.
Yeah. So like, all right. Bets. How long until the court ruling? So wait, when did they announce this? Who announced it? When?
So this was a Pam Bondi thing, I believe.
So like she just like said it on Fox.
No, it was like they issued a memo.
Okay. So probably until they actually do it and get sued, no one's gonna have standing to sue them for this.
I think
Haven't
the
they already
ACL
been doing it?
No, entering houses without
No,
warrant.
I don't think they've done that yet. They've been arresting people at courthouses and shit because, that's where they can find people.
Oh, yeah. And at citizenship interviews, which is just despicable.
Yeah. All right.
Like,
Hateful stuff.
Attorney General Pam Bondi instructs federal law enforcement officers on how to carry out arrests on members of the Venezuelan gang Tren de Aragua. The memo encourages officers to cooperate with federal prosecutors and notes that judicial or administrative arrest warrant is not necessary.
this whole Tren de Aragua thing, like, I feel like we shouldn't even mention it because, like, there's no evidence and no case. We shouldn't be also adding to the narrative that these people are guilty of anything. Shouldn't give them that benefit of the doubt.
Oh yeah, they get no benefit of the doubt.
But all right, so all of this I find like personally like very scary, and so I want to like abandon our normal sort of casual mocking tone for a minute, and I want to like steel man this. All right, so like, say you're on Trump's side, you think he's the absolute perfect president, right? In every case where he's making a decision, he's making the perfect decision. He's always choosing what you want on every issue. And in this, like, warrantless detention and deportation to, like, super prisons, he's only using it on the bad guys, right? He never makes a mistake. Always only bad guys going, right? I think that even in that case, this is already disqualifying, and you should stop supporting him, and he should be impeached and removed from office, right? Because as soon as you allow him to do this, right, you're allowing every future president to also have that power. Like, and it could be like your most fearsome political opponent. It could be, Joseph Stalin II, but American. How can anyone like support this shit that is like, in favor of American democracy?
I think the people that are in favor of this are not in favor of American democracy, and they do not see presidents after Trump. That's the only way I think they could justify it. Trump's selling Trump 2028 merch on his official store. Like he continues to message that he is not leaving office. I'll be very happy if I'm wrong about that. But the standard message about, you got to be worried about these abuses of presidential power because the next president could do something that you don't like with the same power. Very fine logical argument if you believe there's going to be a next president.
Well, I mean, he's not going to live forever, even if he stays in office.
Right. But it might not be a president. It might be some other form of government after him.
Yeah, I think like Americans have forgotten like the reasons for our system, right? So
100%.
like we haven't experienced recently the kind of abuses that the system was built to stop, and so yeah, like people just don't think it's that bad. Like,
Yeah, it's complacency, but it can happen here, man. And I also want to bring up, so like, why do they do things like this way, right? Like the plainclothes abductions, all of this, like,
right?
and I think the whole point that they're doing this, like, if they wanted to stop illegal immigration, like, it's very easy, right? So Georgia in 2011 passed HB 87, which like essentially like caused illegal immigrants to like flee the state en masse, and they lost like $300 million of like agricultural productivity because their crops were like rotting in the fields. But mainly they forced employers to use e-verify. Like employees, when they like get signed up for the job, have to provide a social security number that is like checked electronically, and they actually punished employers for using illegal immigrants as labor instead of just punishing the immigrants themselves, which is not, what we're seeing here.
Right.
And so, like, there's this quote that, like, the purpose of a system is what it does, right? And so I think that, like, essentially they're just trying to, like, inspire terror in illegal immigrants so that their, like, wages are suppressed and they're more willing to accept terrible working conditions and not, like, fight back against that. So, like, if you're worried about immigrants suppressing your wages, this is not going to end illegal immigration doing things this way. They could stop it, they know how, but they choose not to, and instead they're doing this.
Probably one of the reasons that they're not identifying themselves is that they don't necessarily have that identification. A large number of the deportations that are happening now are by deputized volunteers, so not all of the people representing themselves as ICE agents are ICE agents. They are just enthusiastic anti-immigrant American citizens.
So in the article I was reading about at the Virginia courthouse, it does say a retired FBI agent named Jane Collins said they probably don't have credentials because they're recently deputized, which explains why they're doing things so differently than federal officers normally act.
And so if a private citizen, so then they are literally being kidnapped then, right? Or sorry, they were deputized. So this is a thing. I thought this was like a Western movie thing, being deputized. Like,
No.
I could like go down to the police station and they could like deputize me and form a posse and then hand me a lasso.
It's even older than the Old West, right? The Alien Enemies Act they passed in 1798, dude.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but so then they are, I guess, then legally allowed in some sense to arrest, like, okay, when someone gets deputized by ICE, an anti-immigrant enthusiast, they would be allowed to carry out an arrest if the arrest was legal. Is that how
sure,
works?
yeah. I mean, it in this Old West example, don't they get like a little badge what they put on?
Only the sheriff gets that.
Like a little sheriff's badge. I don't know. I mean, yeah, as a law enforcement agency, they are allowed to deputize people. They don't have credentials, and also contributes to this environment of fear and paranoia that they're creating. Fake ICE agents, and it's kind of impossible to say if you're being kidnapped or arrested.
Yeah, I think that the fear is definitely part of it, what they're trying to do, but I think it's also just trying to, continually push the envelope of what illegal stuff they can get people to do on their behalf. And because eventually, like, if and when they go for like the complete authoritarian takeover, just start rounding up Democrats and whatever, and just tossing them in jail, that kind of thing. The thing with no pretense of legality, that or anything other than just a power grab. They're going to need people to break the law for them. So like they're building up this tolerance and building up this group of people who they're identifying as being willing to break the laws for them, and then they'll promote them all through the military, etc. ICE seems like the best place to start if you're like if Trump is looking for people who are going to enthusiastically disregard the law on his behalf.
Brown shirts.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's really, really, really hard not to make the Hitler comparisons, and I still think he's more Mussolini than Hitler. But yeah, it just something about the stickiness of all the little terms, crystal knocked, night of long knives, brown shirts. Like, there's just easy parallels to the modern American situation.
Yeah, this is definitely one of the scenarios that I was kind of worried about when the brown shirt kind of thing, the vigilantism against Hispanics all across the country, just like, oh, he's brown, let's beat him up. It's all sort of sanctioned. It's all kind of wink, wink, go for it from the top. So, if Danny, now that you've sprinkled your cheer on the proceedings here, I feel like this is a reasonable segue. Talking about the chances of like brown shirt sort of mass vigilantism. Like, I can't help it. I have this need to make things probabilities. I like to think about probabilities a lot. I can't help it. It's a little weird, nerdy thing. Like, people get worried. Oh, what are they going to do next? And I'm like, well, what are the chances that they're going to do that thing next? And so I got pretty excited about betting markets, where it's basically just like sports betting generalized. And so they'll bet a lot on politics, on like the news. I think it's a kind of interesting resource because there is actual money at stake, and in some cases, a lot of money at stake. Hundreds of thousands of dollars, millions of dollars of volume. For example, the current, on Polymarket, the bet over whether Pope Francis was going to die in 2025, $3 million was bet on that question.
It was a pretty safe bet, right? Like, he was on a ventilator.
Well, over time, it became a safer and safer bet, right? Okay. So this is the like many stocks, right? As you find more information comes in over time, the prices, the odds adjust, and sure. So anyway, I thought so. It's kind of an interesting resource in that, like, in some sense, like the same sort of motivations that there are in the stock market for people to like make use of all publicly available information to make the right bets and to put the right amount of money in it. That dynamic is at play here. So like, if you believe in the whatever efficient market hypothesis for this, then this is like the best you could do to actually predict these things, is to look at these numbers, which I don't believe in that. But anyway, I still think that nobody should. But I guess what I'm saying is it's kind of a reasonable first estimate of this stuff is to just go look at.
Can I ask you, like, do you think that, like, what do you think about gambling? Do you think it should be legal or limited to certain types of gambling, or what do you think?
I don't know, man. I'm a bit of a social conservative myself. I think that gambling is sinful.
Oh,
and, yeah. It's corrupts the youth.
I think it's maybe one of my lesser considered political takes, but I think just gambling should be legal. I think it's maybe just one of those things where it's not personally my vice, and why it doesn't, it doesn't strike me as something that's incredibly dangerous.
Said it should be legal or illegal?
Legal.
Right.
Like, yeah, it doesn't,
like, for everything. I mean, yeah, there are lots of problems with it just being blanket legal, right? I mean, so here's one problem I have with Polymarket is there's none of the good stuff is on Polymarket, right? Like, we don't know what are the odds of, like, so and so being assassinated this year, partly because Partly because you could place a big bet that someone's going to be assassinated, and then you
and then
could
do
go
it.
you could go do it.
So you said that's the good stuff?
I mean,
It's
the
like
juicy
that
stuff.
seems like the most sinister version of Polymarket.
Like good, I mean entertaining. You guys realize I have little bit of a twisted definition of what I find entertaining.
Sort of a twisted, skewed sense of humor.
Indeed.
Real South Park stuff.
Oh gosh. So right. Anyway, I want to put you up against the pros or the bros, whoever they are, whoever it is that's actually voting on this site. Don't visit. Don't look at the links.
I have a theory as to who's betting on this site: the pros and the bros.
The pros and the bros. That's right.
I think they're both there.
So I picked a couple like events that are up that are being bet on Polymarket, and I'm kind of curious what you guys think. U.S. recession in 2025. What do you guys think are the chances?
You go first, Amy.
I'm gonna say 85%.
I was gonna say 80.
Do you guys know what a recession is?
It's like
It's
two
when-
quarters of negative GDP growth, or I mean, there's a lot of definitions, right?
Yeah, it's like when they're not, people aren't putting their goods on the market because they don't want to sell them, or something like that.
That's probably too squidgy of a definition for
It's-
Polymarket, though.
Yeah, I think that something like what Danny said is what I've heard for that. So anyway, Polymarket right now has that at a 56% chance. It looks like it peaked on April 9th. What was that? What was Liberation Day? You can just look at this and see Trump's various tariff announcements, I think.
Oh man, my company, like my boss asked me what the tariff rate for, like, we import things from China, and he asked me what the tariff rate was, and then it turns out he had asked like all of the managers,
And they all gave
and
different answers.
we all gave different answers.
Oh, you're just like Trump, dude. As a collective.
That's part of the problem.
Oh man, right. It's like Polymarket. Like, in fact, there should be a Polymarket betting thing on like what is the current China tariff rate with China. It's like nobody knows. Okay, I forgot what number you said, Phil, but anyway,
80. I said 80, so
you said
I was
80.
closer, but
got it.
Price is Right rules, I was wrong.
Yes, well, exactly. All right. Here's one that is like, I guess, take a probability and multiply it by some sort of economic data, and then you get how much revenue from tariffs in 2025.
Oh my god.
It's hard. U.S. economy
That's
is
a
pretty
huge number, right? Like, I don't know.
I'm gonna guess $250 billion.
I'm gonna guess like $1 trillion.
$1 trillion. Let's see. So the way they've designed this one, they have it in 4 different buckets, and there is a $200 to $500 billion bucket, which is 25% of bettors think that that's what it's going to be. 54% think it's going to be between 1 and 200 billion. Over 1 trillion is 4% of bettors think it's going to be over $1 trillion.
I'm probably like way wrong on that, because there will be some decrease in the amount of stuff people are buying from overseas. Maybe probably won't correlate with the increased production, since it takes a lot longer for that production to catch up in domestic supplies.
Yeah,
But
I
people
think that,
just buy less stuff.
right. I think that this is like a very hard thing to predict. I mean, even if you just sort of like assumed that the rules weren't going to change at all, and you were just trying to do the economics of like, oh, okay, this increase of prices will drive this decrease in demand, will drive this, will drive that. Even that is complicated enough, but then it's like, I don't know, maybe Trump will have too much to drink and double the tariff on...
A teetotaler.
A teetotaler?
Yeah,
He doesn't drink.
Just does Adderall.
Ah, right. There you go. Too much water to drink. It is very weird. Like I'm looking at this. Will India invade Pakistan? And it's like, it's interesting because like all of these like will suffer from like, okay, how do you actually like decide whether a thing happened or not?
Invasion or special military action.
Exactly, right? Like if like the little green men cross the border, is that an invasion?
I'm looking at the Israel one, and at 96% is nothing ever happens. And it has $914,000 writing on it. Nothing ever happens. The hell is this? This market will resolve no if any of the following conditions are met by April 30th. Russia and Ukraine agree to ceasefire. Yoon Suk-yeol is reinstated as South Korean president. Pete Hegseth resigns or otherwise ceases to be Secretary of Defense. Erdogan resigns or otherwise ceases to be president of Israel.
Erdogan resigns.
Yeah, that seems like the least likely of all of these. I don't know. This seems like not like a great place to put your money.
That's 100%, as loud as it goes. Is that better?
All right, perfect.
I would tune it down to 98%.
Okay.
Sure.
Because I've been
98%.
looking at Polymarket.
All right, 98%. How's that?
Oh gosh, maybe 96.
98%. You missed it probably, Danny, but 98% is the going rate on nothing ever happens on Polymarket.
Basically, it's like betting against seismic geopolitical events
It's
in the
it's
next
like
3
Ukraine
days.
peace deal, Israel Hamas ceasefire, Erdogan stepping down, Pete Hegseth stepping down, and was there another one? If any of those happened
Yeah,
before
Yoon
the 30th.
Suk-yeol reinstated as president of South Korea.
Exactly. That seems pretty unlikely. I feel like they're done with him.
Yeah. Yeah, God bless them. Phil also concluded Polymarket, probably not a great place to keep your money.
Yeah, it seems pretty unsafe, and like there's a lot of wiggle room in a lot of the bets, and there's a lot of incentive to wiggle it. You know, I mean, who's really controlling? Like, do you know who's controlling the bets?
The strings? Why would I know? Why would I know who's pulling
You're
the
the one who
strings?
brought the Polymarket
What are you
thing.
getting at?
Why? Like, it's like
Certain circumcised
anti-Semitism
races.
thing. No. I meant like, do they state on the site like who's like setting the bets or
I don't
setting
know.
up the bets or who's the bookies or
They might. I haven't really looked into it that much.
consult your friends in the international banking markets.
You can't use it in the U.S. apparently.
What?
According to the Wikipedia article, it's blocked access to U.S. customers since 2022.
I mean, okay.
VPNs don't exist in America, so it's completely enforceable.
That's true. Trump positive approval on May 1st has a 1% chance.
What would have to happen for him to have positive approval, dude? I can't even imagine.
Failed assassination attempt?
Fox News survey.
Yeah. Even though he's underwater on the Fox News surveys, I think, even.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
There you have it, folks. Polymarket. Just in case crypto is too safe for you.
All right. Well, speaking of great websites, you guys want to hear about Public Square?
Yes. That sounds wholesome.
Yeah. So, Public Square is a website that was founded under the principle the woke corporate America is out of control, and what we need is a website where business owners can list themselves as aligned with the greater MAGA movement in hopes of attracting customers that align with their values. In practice, it's an incredibly useful tool for identifying boycott targets.
It makes sense since we were just talking about Trump's approval rating being underwater.
Yeah, I like so correct me if I'm wrong, but like my understanding of just kind of general good business practice is for most companies they kind of want to seem apolitical, right?
Depends on what you mean by apolitical. Like the diversity and stuff they were like big on, and that's pretty political.
Well, there's that,
And
but
I
I
mean,
mean,
to be fair, also that was also BS, right? It's like none of these companies, like Coca-Cola, does not give a damn about trans rights. They try to ride the political tides, right? Just
Yeah,
so
like a lot of them have just like dropped all of their like diversity and inclusion stuff because
the tide has gone
they
out.
it's just not worth it for them if they're going to face any sort of reprisal under the Trump administration. It was always just a cynical ploy to try to open up their market to beyond their standard demographic to potential new customers that are like new identity groups or existing identity groups that aren't in their typical market. It's always just a marketing thing.
Yeah, I remember reading. Freeman, who's the not Morgan Freeman,
Lex
the
Friedman?
no the like capitalism guy, the economist. No, like
No,
really.
like the '60s one.
Yes.
Like Freeman Dyson, or like
No.
No,
Oh my gosh.
famous economist. Famous economist.
Yeah, like and very like pro-capitalist. So I think the book I was reading was Freedom and Capitalism, and
Milton Friedman.
Milton Friedman, yeah, and and he made the argument that one of the like benefits of capitalism is that it separates this identity thing from transactions. That the motivation is what you're saying is you're just trying to make money. I don't remember the exact argument, but anyway, it was like sort of like a foundation of capitalism, or like a very predictable outcome of capitalism done right in the eyes of not Morgan Freeman. That I just keep it's Morgan. I'm sorry, Morgan. That it leads to less discrimination, like as people are encouraged to do business with and not to think too much about who they're buying or selling to.
I get what he's getting at. That's complete bollocks. But
I might not be doing his argument justice. It's possible.
Yeah, it's fair. You know what? Like Milton Friedman, he's had plenty of support over the years. It's okay if he gets a little criticism.
Milton.
plus
Indeed.
like any of these arguments, it's like you would just have to look at like Jim Crow in the American South, right? It wasn't like businesses were rushing to end segregation.
No, and in fact, that was a big factor behind the privatization of everything in America was these racist policies. Like the whole idea behind the Jim Crow era is like the businesses have the right to refuse service to anyone, and the civil rights movement is largely in opposition to businesses and schools and things deciding on their own that they want to just be racist.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I think despite me not being aligned with the broader MAGA movement myself, I think it's noble that people are willing to suffer financial loss for their values.
Sure. I'm inclined to make sure they suffer massive financial loss. I think that if you're going to identify yourself as a bigot, then you should suffer the consequences. And in that pursuit, I did a little homework. So I plugged in my zip code into this Public Square website, and I found some businesses. So I will no longer be attending or purchasing goods from Village Sea Glass.
What is sea glass?
Sea glass? Well, it's glass that washes up on shore from the sea.
So it's got like rounded edges and stuff, and it looks kind of pretty.
Okay.
Yeah. A lot of the businesses in my area are in Capitola figures. So this is a very small business and therefore very vulnerable to even a small amount of boycott. They're gonna just go under if any of their regular customers stop buying from them, probably. I also noticed that a lot of the businesses on this website are kind of like what I would think of as more like hippy-dippy, wellness, new agey kind of guru-style thinking to MAGA pipeline is going strong as ever. There's another business in my area called Moving as Intended. Their description is health through movement. Optimize your structure and regenerate health. Another trend I saw on these businesses, not huge on spelling or proofreading.
Suboptimal.
Yeah, suboptimal indeed. This is a remote and in-person physical therapy business. The owner also has a podcast.
Nice. Dude, we gotta get
our-
him on. We gotta get him on. Look,
We
Phil,
gotta get him on.
I think the boycotting is interesting, and like I think boycotting Tesla makes a lot of sense. But like I also think that this environment is like ordinary people are being pitted against each other from above, and like it's kind of important. I mean, I know you probably weren't planning on purchasing a lot of sea glass anyway.
I was hoping not to purchase any physical therapy, but
Also,
getting
yeah,
older, we'll see.
yeah. If with any luck, you shouldn't need any physical therapy. But yeah, I mean, I feel like another. They are also advertising themselves for like other kinds of interventions.
Yeah, that's the thing, man. Like, I get what you're saying about we're being pit against each other from above, but these are self-reports, and they kind of deserve the boycotts that are coming to them if they're going to go out there on the front lines and be like, I am against the woke mob.
I'm in favor of plainclothes agents snatching people off the street with no
So-
warrant or badge.
I mean, I think that it's important for us to talk to some of these people. Here, a couple counterpoints. Here we are putting ourselves out here, well aware, and that in this environment we could be targeted for it. And do we think like, oh yeah, that's fair game? If anyone like just doesn't like us, like that it's great. Like whatever. If say my boss or your boss or if they are Trump supporters, they should just like fire us for this. And that's just like it's totally fair in this game and reasonable to exact economic punishment on people who you disagree with. That's the thing.
Suppose that is an interesting point. Though we're none of us the owners or managers of capital. We do not own any of the businesses that we work for.
Well, we own this fledgling business, but fair enough. Okay, but economic damage is economic damage. But I had another point. Gosh darn.
My counterpoint to your point, David, is that we shouldn't be obligated to spend money with people we disagree with.
Yeah, I'm not saying that you're obligated, but I'm just saying there is the opportunity to punish people for to try to hurt people economically for their politics. Oh, yeah, and I remember my second point. But there's also opportunity to try to talk to them so to my second point, I think that more than half the country voted for Trump, and I think that most of them did not vote for him because they're supportive of masked, unidentified people kidnapping immigrants. Now, a lot of them they might have some views that we find unsavory, but I think also they might be low information voters. They might think that the economy was great and Trump won and inflation was bad under Biden, and it could be as simple as that for them. Or, they might think, they could be in a right-wing echo chamber media ecosystem, and they just have, they think that left-wing people are, trying to turn their kids trans or something. And so all the more reason to talk to these people.
I'm happy to talk with them and engage in rational debate, and I'll treat them with as much respect as they give me. But I don't think boycotts are like unjustifiable in this circumstance. Like
I was saying, like Tesla, hell yeah. I would not want to be found.
Your main sticking point is the sort of punching down that I'm doing here.
My main sticking point is I think what we need is to be driving collective action. Like we, as a, the people in this country, need to like understand what's going on and work together to change it. And
So this would be a collective action, putting like a disincentive out there for bigots, to self-identify.
I think
This should be back in the shadows. Shoot, get out of here.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure. I don't think I'm not comfortable saying that anybody who self-identifies as part of the MAGA movement is a bigot. I'm not comfortable saying that. Like, I haven't met enough of them. Like, I would guess that most of them think that they are like proud Americans, and they think they are frightened of mobs, or like they see whatever smears on immigrants are being shown on repeat to them, or whatever smears on like Black Lives Matter or defund the police or whatever they see all the time. I think that scares them, and I think, yeah, I think that probably most of them aren't just like classic bigots who we should be attacking. That's my nature. I'm a very benefit of the doubt kind of a guy, to a fault, perhaps.
Yeah. Well, I still kind of want to clown on them a little bit more. All right. So I think maybe you kind of need to hear it in their own words. Why do this thing? Why put yourself out there? Well, according to the Public Square, their little mission statement, as a consumer, finding ways to ensure your spending supports businesses that align with your values is crucial. Yes, thumbs up. What do you think?
I agree.
Yeah,
I agree. This is where participating in a parallel economy can make a significant impact. Creating parallel economy. It refers to an economic system that operates alongside the mainstream economy but follows different principles, rules, and values. Okay.
Sounds like a bunch of hippies living on a commune, dude.
I guess.
Yeah, they said sounds pretty. This definitely sounds like a little bit like a communist utopian, right?
Well, I was gonna say it sounds like they're. I mean, like it sounds like they're trying to do crimes, right? Like this is like the regular economy, except we don't operate by the same rules,
Like not defrauding people.
We don't declare our income.
Okay, well, to clear up my concerns a little bit further down here, it puts a high priority on, well, that's not the part I was looking for, but it's interesting. It puts a high priority on bringing faith and family back into the marketplace. So, if you ever wanted to sell your family, or your faith...
That's probably what they meant, yeah.
That's probably what they meant. More worrying stuff here. In the parallel economy, transactions are not always subject to the same scrutiny as those in the mainstream economy. So, again, It does sound like they're talking about crimes, right? Like,
Yeah, kind of.
it gets into, like, what they're actually concerned here. With the trust and relationships that come from an economic system built on a set of principles, businesses and consumers can engage in commerce without concern of being canceled. Just always comes back to being canceled.
Yeah, I mean,
Who's in danger of being canceled? Like, is...
Sea Glass guy.
Yeah.
I mean, you were just trying to organize us to cancel these people, so...
I mean, it's fair, but I guess it's just a self-fulfilling prophecy. Like before they put their thing on the thing, they weren't in danger of being canceled. They could have just sold sea glass.
Well,
but
I don't
now
know. Maybe...
I'm incentivized to be like, take this guy down. This little shopkeeper that's making like little baubles. I would have had no idea that he was like a huge Trumpy guy.
I bet you walk in there and you're like, hey, I want some sea glass. And he's like, white power, brother.
I mean, look what happened to Kanye, dude. They banned him in 7 minutes on Twitch this week.
You would have had no idea. Ugh. Okay, but wait.
I like it also kind of throws some sort of like xenophobia in there a little bit later. It says, in contrast, the parallel economy operates within the national economic system, unlike the well-documented underground economy running in parallel with the Indian economy.
I mean, they're talking about like tribal businesses or something.
I don't know. I mean, well, so like, there's like a black market economy in any place in the world, right? Like, if
Right.
there are things that are illegal, there's probably a market for people to buy them.
Right.
But then they go ahead and talk about like the supposed non-existence of a black market in America. It's like the parallel economy picking up steam in the US today should not be confused with underground economies like the shadow economy, black economy, or black market, known to have existed in China, India, and Germany. Why? Why those three? Like, what could they possibly be referring to? Like, you know how there's like a drug market in China, India, and Germany? Like, that's like a huge part of the whole MAGA fear-mongering is like there's drugs coming over the border. To not acknowledge that there's a black market in America seems ludicrous.
That's really weird. They started, honestly, I thought they started off a little bit strong. I was like, okay, like you want to like do business with people, with companies that align with your values. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not like Indians.
Yeah, there's a big focus on faith and family and not doing tax evasion, and not being Chinese, or sending your money to China. Also, speaking to your desire to talk to these people, I'll go over why this is probably pointless. So there's a little section on streaming services. Streaming services and other subscription-based entertainment are constantly pushing an agenda. Okay. Public Square offers alternatives for children and adults. If you love books, you'll find every genre on Public Square in audiobook and written format. Examples include Storywave and The Torch of Liberty books, respectively. Rumble, the parallel economy's alternative to YouTube, YouTube, has video hosting and streaming covered, but when it comes to finding safe alternative to streaming services like Amazon Prime, are you worried about a safe alternative to Amazon Prime? I feel like Amazon Prime is not like breaking down my door and abducting me in the middle of the night. Anyways, you'll find a bevy of options like Sherwood and Minnow.
Dude, we gotta get on Rumble.
Dude,
what are we doing?
You want to talk to these people, but they're not hearing you.
Ironically, it's headquartered in the
Rumble.
51st state, dude.
What was that?
It's headquartered in the 51st state. It's not even an American business yet. It's in Canada.
Oh.
All right, cool. Well, this is weird. Thanks, Phil.
Top recommended thing on Rumble for me is Apostate Radio.
Have to check it out. Sounds like cool dudes.
And the top live category is conspiracies. Oh, good.
What? Dude, we gotta start a conspiracy channel on Rumble.
I mean, traditionally, what you're supposed to do is get kicked off of YouTube. So, we'll go super heavy on the Ted Kaczynski talk, and then we can go to Rumble.
There he is.
Oh, Ted.
All right. Well, that's going to be a nightmare to edit. Do you guys want to talk about anything else?
This has been a tough one, huh?
Yeah, I thought mine was going to be more fun.
I'm sorry.
Just clowning on some people.
I have this video, guys. Good. All right. Doing it. Here is our education secretary making some very insightful comments about... I'll let her speak for herself.
That there's a curriculum that's going to start making sure that first graders or even pre-Ks have A1 teaching, every year starting, that far down in the grades, and that's a wonderful thing. Kids are sponges. They just absorb everything. And so it wasn't all that long ago that we're going to have internet in our schools. Whoop. Now, okay, let's see A1 and how can that be helpful?
How can it be helpful? Teach us as an A1 engineer, David.
Ah, man. I just couldn't believe this, honestly. I was like, I mean, it just doesn't seem like she's reading from a teleprompter. God damn it. Rachel Maddow. Get the fuck out of here. Okay.
Oh man.
Sorry.
I think that's just like.
I mean, she got the job by being married to the guy who ran WWE, right? So it's not like she's highly qualified.
That's like the most dangerous thing for education. I think it's already such a fraught topic, bringing AI, like generative AI systems into schools. Like, it's already so easy to cheat with them and never have to do another English assignment in your life, or math assignment for that matter. But like to get kids started on that, comfortable using generative AI systems early and young, and not even knowing enough to call it AI, to call it A1, like, it's just a little bit less funny for me because I have young children. So
Right. Oh, yeah. I mean, with all this stuff, I think laughter is like a survival thing, like in the face of pain and suffering and embarrassment. Yeah, I obviously, yeah, pretty concerning if like she just like literally doesn't know what AI is. Like, I was wondering if she was reading a teleprompter and just like thinking she saw A1, or like maybe she like read a whole like briefing memo on AI because she's at an AI conference.
Maybe she was just really hungry and thinking about barbecue sauce.
But like she, okay, so she's at an AI conference. So if she was like listening to anyone talking around her the whole day, you know what actually she is? She's a podcast queen. She's not listening to anyone. Got the earbuds in, just barreling down to her
She
business.
was just listening to Info Hazard.
That must be it. She
must have been our steak episode. Just a little hard to explain. I mean, I guess it was probably just a really weird gaffe, right? Just like said the wrong word, right? Like, I say the wrong word sometimes.
But she did it a few times.
I think she did it. Well, she did it at least twice. I'm sure she did it twice, but I think it might have been more.
I mean,
It's the ghost of Biden's past.
I saw a slightly different.
Some say he still haunts the White House to this day.
I mean, she is 76. I mean, maybe it's just a senior moment.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember seeing like Biden, asked some question about like Gaza and Egypt, like the border between Gaza and Egypt, and he starts talking about, like he mentions like Mexico and stuff, and like I was like, okay, he's crossing wires about southern borders. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't know why everyone's going so hard on the guy. And then I saw him in the debate, and I was like, okay, this guy is. They should have been going harder on this guy.
Or gentler, maybe.
Yeah,
I don't know why everyone's going so hard on this leader of the free world.
right.
Just because he could, nuke the entire world.
But I mean, over that, right? But then, like, anyway, so like for this, it's like I'm not sure how hard is fair, like, to go at her for this, because yeah, it's honestly like, what the hell, A1, like
All right. In the interest of fairness, how hard would the Republicans go if it was a Democrat saying this?
Oh, that's yeah. Fairness, fair and balanced. Yeah.
We had a replay of the tan suit debacle.
I saw
party
that.
flipped. That Trump wore a blue suit to the Vatican funeral, and people
Against the
wanted
dress
to make a
code.
big deal out of it.
I have no idea what either of these things are,
The
but
dress code said dark suit. He wore a light blue suit.
He stands out in all the photos. He's the only guy in a blue suit in this crowd of dudes in black.
I mean, I think he's finally gone too far, guys. I mean,
He's a real Katniss Everdeen, He's stunning them all with his fashion choices.
Right. Suspending habeas corpus, like, to go after the immigrants, like, okay, that I can see that, but the light blue suit to Francis's funeral. Shocking.
I was looking at the pictures. It's very typically him, and he probably did do it to be a little attention-seeking. But I've something about like the pictures with everyone like taking like kind of phone pictures of the casket as it's passing by. That was what got me. It's like, dude, there's gonna be professional photographers. You don't have to like take selfies
I was there.
with the casket of the Pope as he's
You take,
passing
like, a
by.
crying selfie, like, oh, I'm here.
Dude, you're the president of Congo. Like, what are you doing?
So I did look a little bit at McMahon's McMahon's qualifications, and
WrestleMania.
yeah, she obviously liked the whole WWE thing, but she sat on the Connecticut Board of Education for 1 year, starting in 2009. Though she resigned coincidentally around the time that they found out that when she was filling in like a questionnaire to vet her for the board position, that she misstated that she had a degree in education when she actually had a degree in French.
Oops.
So, yeah. According to Wikipedia.
It's just another classic gaffe.
Those keys are practically right next to each other on the keyboard. Hey, wait, how do they pronounce AI in French, dude? Do they just say A1? Maybe she was speaking French.
It's probably like intelligence artificielle. I studied French.
Or did you study education? Apparently it's hard to tell.
Yeah. Anyway, but I thought the Department of Education was being shut down, though. Wasn't that happening?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I guess it's taking a while, but yeah, Trump did announce his intention to shutter the Department of Education.
I guess we're going to have to learn our French elsewhere.
Yeah.
At least it'll taste good. If you like barbecue sauce.
All right. I think that's time to close the curtain on another mind-shredding episode of Info Hazard Show podcast. Thanks, everybody, for listening.
Don't forget to like and subscribe. Tell all your friends and family to listen also.
We'll see you next week.
Check us out on Public Square. You know, support us because of our faith and family values. And
The
see
parallel
you
black
next Tuesday.
economy.
But okay, actually, there's got to be another way of saying that. We can't just be saying "see you next Tuesday." So I'll see you on another Tuesday of show time.
Thanks.
Bye.